Wow. Joining us right now. By the way, again, apologies. As we roll out this new video system, we see a lot of you asking why the guests aren't on the TV. Chris, we're working on it, right? We'll get there.
Yeah.
They're working. We have, remember Indiana Jones, the first one, the Raiders of the Lost Ark? We have our top men on it.
Oh, nice.
Perfect men.
That's good.
Joining us right now from The Athletic, the one, the only. He's not upset about the video thing, even though he looks so nice this time of day. Sam Amick, good morning, Sam.
Man, you guys are missing out. You should see me right now.
Hey, guess what, Dave?
What?
Happy birthday, Sam Amick.
Yeah, you know what? It's in my calendar.
You, J. Ross.
It is.
Thanks,
You're so right. It is. Wow. Oh,
thank you, sir.
Wow. Happy birthday, Sam. The big 55. How does it feel?
Wow.
Double nickel. Jason Williams.
Click. Click. We are done. Get me over to 1320.
You get one of those Colo Guard things shipped to your house like me yet? Let's go, dude. It's so much fun.
Indeed.
Anyway, happy birthday, Sam.
Yeah, happy birthday, Sam.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for making me work on my birthday.
Speaking of working on your birthday, Sam, the NBA season's about to start, and you had a nice 17-minute off season, but I'm sure you also saw a little bit of the preseason last night.
He was there.
Including your Sacramento Kings. What was your? We've been talking about it all morning. Sam, what was your big takeaway from last night's preseason tete-a-tete with the Toronto Raptors?
I was kind of afraid you were going to ask because that would have required that I really watched the basketball.
You're working the room. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I was working the room, and then during the game, I was, getting some other stuff done. I mean, I was there, and I kept looking up and going, "Oh, this is not very close. Oh, this is still not very close." I mean, I didn't study the final box. It seemed like, you had the legitimate core playing for most of the game. I mean, it's preseason, so it's always hard to figure out what it means, but not to, clearly I don't have a ton of analysis on the game. I do wonder, because I didn't hear the post game, what was Doug's messaging and some of the guys in terms of, what substance they pulled out of it.
Yeah, I will say the one quote that I know we aired on the postgame that I thought was interesting was Doug had said something along the lines of, we're going to play 2 games a night. One literally that's the scoreboard, and the other one is the fight. And we've got to at least win one a night. If we win both, we'll be on to something. He goes, tonight we lost both.
Chris, can Sam hear if I play something? I think he can, right? No? Yes? Just okay. I'm just going to play this real quick. This is to your question, and Jason described it perfectly. But here's Doug Christie last night post game, and I will. Nope, I haven't.
There's the game, and there's the fight. So we got 164 games. Okay, every night we gonna win one of them. If we win both, we doing something. Tonight we lost them both. And I said, let that be the last time that we always gonna win a fight. And unfortunately, and most people go, well, the last team came in. No, because we do it together. It's all of us. They came back and threw some punches, but it is a group effort from one to the end of the bench. And all the coaches and everybody on the staff and it's everybody. So unfortunately, we lost both of the games tonight. Unacceptable. And that will be hopefully the last time that happens. That was my conversation with them.
All right, so that was, we bring Sam back in. I hope you were able to hear that, Sam. That was the gist of what Doug said last night, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting framing. I mean, all the years of coaching press conferences and cliches that I've heard and we've heard, and I'm not even trying to be funny, like that kind of framing is somewhat unique. And also impressive, quick math by Doug there. It's what strikes me is it's like, dang, and I get it. He's trying to set a tone, but it's a little intense for, the beginning of the preseason. But I think that speaks to the fact that even though a lot of people around the NBA don't expect much of this group, and and I think even some of the fans and media had been a little apathetic about, everybody's focusing on the roster and where things might change. And, Doug is, and we talked to him at a recent event that they had, he's trying to make this group do something, and he does have a vision. And I think it's going to be a tough one to pull off, but I think he's trying to lead the way with that competitive spirit that he was known for as a player. And I think that's what you're hearing there.
And that's, Sam Amick joins us. It's always my worry about Doug is Doug's also, he is Neat Clifford. He is Keegan Murray in the sense that, those are young players we're trying to figure out how good they are. It's the same thing with Doug. He's effectively a rookie coach. We're trying to figure out how good he is. It's going to be difficult for a number of reasons. Number one, the ingredients he has in the kitchen. Number two, I think we can all agree if Scott Perry has his way, this roster ain't going to be the same in February as it is right now. But then you also have Sabonis last night said that the last night's game was much sloppier than what he witnessed in training camp. And I'm not also trying to be funny here, but legitimately in training camp, they've been defended by the Sacramento Kings. So that offense is probably going to look a lot better than it does against a team that does pick up defense cover to cover. So could this have just been a situation, Sam, where you saw the youth in the fourth and they seem to have a lot more of Doug's fingerprints on them than the veterans did in the first quarter? Could that just be a situation where the vets are like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude, I just need to get paid?
Well, I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. That has certainly been, it's a massive question for this team. To that point, I had been struck heading into the season by the level of optimism both on the coaching staff and even though I do think what you said about Scott is accurate, with Scott and B.J. Armstrong is his number 2 now in the front office, they weren't signaling or messaging like there's just a bunch of placeholders here. They do want to compete, and they did have also some optimism about, having 6 guys who can get a bucket, for example. If you watch the Thunder, and I think I might have said this last week, the Thunder and Pacers finals, it's like, okay, just a bunch of guys who can make a play. And there's a loose thread there where you go, yeah, that's better than having guys who can't pass the ball and can't score the ball. But defense is obviously the number one issue. And so it was like, could they get this group to defend? And then also, can they have an offensive system that maximizes all that scoring talent while somehow mitigating the fact that there's only one ball and you got a bunch of high usage guys who are used to having it in their hands. So it's a long-winded way of saying, they've been somewhat bullish on the vision, but it requires the veterans that you're talking about, Dave, to really, you're really teaching old dogs some new tricks. And I think that's going to be tough.
You had said, Sam, obviously I saw you at the game. You were at the game, but you were working on some other things. Was any of that Kings related that you can share, or was it kind of more of league stuff that you're kind of snooping around on?
No, I was just basic stuff. I mean, we put a story out yesterday that honestly is more interesting to me than I think the public is giving it credit for just yet, as far as the Maverick Carter's involvement, and then and Maverick, as you guys know, is LeBron's longtime partner. We wrote a story yesterday about this league, women's league, and potentially a men's league that is being built, that has got NBA people talking about almost like a live golf type of deal. So I was dealing with that. I was dealing with some other, just preseason stuff, but nothing too sexy.
I mean, that sounds kind of sexy, by the way, a live golf version of the NBA. I think really, and apologies, I'm literally reading your article as we speak here, that there seems to be a bit of an opening with the WNBA, perhaps, and I think Caitlin Clark would be the golden goose, obviously, in that situation. But the WNBA seems to be having some issues right now. Is that part of the movement there, that they sense that weakness?
No, the timeline doesn't line up to kind of confirm that, Dave. But it's like, I think it's two things. It's the growth, like rapid growth of women's basketball, and the hype around it. And I think it's born out of that. And it's also born out of the fact that in the WNBA, at least for now, the way that their CBA works with the league is, as you guys know, is their players can go play and always have for other places. They would go overseas to supplement their income, and you're allowed to play for the WNBA and other leagues. And so this league is, which is, founded by a couple of Silicon Valley guys that were working with Maverick Carter and for now are not. They just see a chance to pay these women a whole lot more than the WNBA does. But where it's going to get interesting is they've got, negotiations, basically right now in the WNBA, where I do expect the league to try to push for, like, if you want revenues, or if you want a bigger piece of the pie, you're going to have to stop working for other leagues. So that side is interesting. But yes, it's an easier lane to go down to start with the women. The men's thing, and I don't know if you guys feel like getting into it or not at all, is I find it really interesting because the quick version is, over the summer, there is a prominent European agent who represents Nikola Jokic, Miska Raskinovic. I always mess up his last name. Serbian guy posts a picture with LeBron James, Maverick Carter, himself, and a handful of other people talking about big plans in the fall of 2026. You later find out that they were talking about putting these two leagues together. And now it feels like on the men's side, LeBron is kind of, for now, keeping his hands out of it. Maverick appears to be keeping his hands out of it. This is my own commentary. It feels like these guys are flirting with this idea pretty significantly, but also trying to not piss off Adam Silver in the process, or at least reading the room. So I do think it's a situation that's worth watching.
Yeah, because hasn't the NBA even openly talked a little bit about trying to grab that European market and maybe even setting up another league or another entity that they're a part of that maybe they can connect via the Cup or via other things that brings that to maybe the All-Star? It just feels like there's some connection there that if it's separate from the NBA would be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Silver has, and the league has, I think, surprised people a little bit because they've kind of shifted from expansion being the top priority to this European league that is definitely a full go, which they would partner with a number of teams overseas and just expand their blueprint. And yeah, there is some crossover between that and the idea that this other group was talking about. We talked to a guy named Grady Burnett, who's one of the co-founders, and he's a former Facebook exec and Google, I think. And the backdrop here too, and hopefully people can track this, is the politics are fascinating because LeBron has always wanted to own a team.
Yeah.
And, the quickest way to get, kind of scratched off the list of potential owners is to provide competition.
Right.
And so it feels a little bit like, he's on the knife's edge here a little bit. And, again, that's why, to me, it's pretty interesting. It might never see the light of day on the men's side, but the co-founder did indicate that he's like, listen, we're starting with the women's league, and it's safe to assume that they will be doing other stuff after that.
Well, that's the first thing I took away from that, Sam. It's fascinating because you're right. And LeBron James has been rumored as the guy who's going to take the Las Vegas expansion franchise, if it in fact ends up being Seattle and Las Vegas. So it makes me wonder a number of things. Number one, it has to be real because why would he even take a chance at being crossed off that list? Or maybe expansion isn't as real as we thought it was, or at least in Vegas, or at least him being the owner or having the funds to do that. But I can understand, too, from a WNBA standpoint, just going back to that, and I know I'm throwing like 10 things at you. It seems that, okay, if you can sign these players, the top players from the WNBA to play in the offseason, and they start playing, and that's getting numbers, and they enjoy it, then there's no reason to think, and I got to imagine it's in their business model when you're dealing with the founder of Skype and so many of these other bigwigs you wrote about, that they don't eventually just let their WNBA contracts run out and sign full-time with this other league that eventually usurps them. So there is a lot of interesting parallels coming out of this.
For sure. And I mean, to that point, bye, buddy, love you too. Saying goodbye to the children. Is that I don't have the numbers in front of me, but, the vast majority of WNBA veterans are going to be, their contracts are up this summer. So that lane is wide open, and it is an easier sell. And also, if you think about all of the, it's really nothing short of hostility between the players and Kathy Engelbert right now. Yeah, like it's just ripe for the women to put up the birds and say deuces, we're out, especially with the types of salaries they have received to this point. So I do think that side is much more fertile ground, and the other, the men's side is a lot more kind of wrought with issues.
Yeah. By the way, what are you hearing on that? Because that's the strongest I've ever heard a professional athlete go at a commissioner. I mean, that was stunning what happened there, and the support from other players. Is Engelbert gonna make it through this?
I don't have my ear to the ground on that, but I mean, just reading the room, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, Adam Silver did defend her to an extent, said that and as you guys know, the NBA has funded the WNBA for the longest time, and there's, a lot of crossover there. And Adam talked about how he felt that dynamic between her and the players had just become too personal. And I mean, I don't know, it doesn't seem like she's the long-term leader. And there's already been reporting that, that she has kind of quietly already figured out like a soft landing spot elsewhere down the road, and she denied that. So we'll see, but it's a fascinating one because it's the women, you're talking about do we remember Caitlin Clark's salary for this past season?
Isn't it like 70 or 80 grand?
It might be a little north of that, but
not a lot.
You're talking, yeah, exactly. So like the nothing to lose vibe, I guess, on the women's side, I could definitely see them saying, screw it, let's do this. The W, if we need to come back to it, I don't know how they're going to play it, but the risk is nothing compared to the men. Because on the men's side, and I'm the farthest thing from a golf expert, but if you go back to the live golf parallel, you had a lot of really historic golfers go ahead and make that choice. And yes, they filled their pockets with Saudi money and got generational wealth, but they're losing money hand over fist, and their legacies are pretty tainted as a result of that choice. I mean, do you guys pay attention to everything? Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Yeah. They recently just came out with their, I think it's like they're losing $7 for every $1 made. It's something ridiculous, and they expected to lose money, but yeah, it's not great.
So that's just like from LeBron on down. It's a tougher calculus for the men. Like you're already, the stars are already making $50 to $60 million a year over here. I mean, certainly if you're LeBron, you have an actual argument to make. I mean, and I do think potentially a driving force here, if you're, this is me talking, not reporting, but like if you're LeBron, and the Lakers have made it very, very clear that they don't want to give you a max contract beyond this season. I'm sure he's looking at this going, my God, my annual wealth, or earnings to this league should be $150 million a year or whatever the number is. You know what I mean? Like that's because there is basically a hard cap at this point in the NBA. A player like that, I could see him saying, no, the right thing for me to kind of get what's coming to me is I'm going to go get even more, in this other league, but we'll see if it actually comes to fruition.
Last thing for you, and this is kind of Kings related. It's a curveball at you, but Russ Westbrook is still not signed with the team, and I heard something I heard something that from somebody I trust enough to not blow off what they say, that he may have himself an offer in China for about half a season and damn near quadruple what the Kings could offer him. Do you have any insight as to, where that camp is, and might we have seen the last of Russ Westbrook in the NBA?
No, I mean, that China intel is news to me. That's certainly a path that prominent players have taken before. Stephon Marbury, DeMarcus Cousins, all the way down the line. Do you remember or know, Dave, the timeline of their season? I mean, my first thought is, you talk about collecting multiple checks, like go get paid over there and then call it a day and be available and just go ahead and sign on with a playoff contender on the back end of the NBA season. Does that timeline line up?
I have no idea what their season is, to be honest with you, and I don't know if
I feel like guys have done things like that before. But no, I mean, it's the Kings' calculus has been the same, which is if they moved a guard without getting a guard back, then be on the lookout for a rust that maybe happen. But it's interesting. I know we probably got to go, but I spent some time around the Nuggets recently, and I don't know where I finally landed on like their ultimate reaction to the Russell Westbrook experience. But there were people with the Nuggets that, even with the difficulties that he presented personality-wise, there were some really smart basketball people that just very plainly stated, like, it's bonkers that he's not employed. He's way too good to not be in the NBA. So, we'll see what happens there.
That's Sam Amick of The Athletic. Happy birthday,
Yeah,
Sam.
happy birthday.
He's not really 55.
Thank you, guys.
He's younger than me.
Appreciate you. Have a great day.
All right,
You too.
Bye-bye. Sam Amick, everyone. Working on his birthday.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. When we come back, let's get to 4 down territory. Eagles-Giants, Week 6 starts tonight. We got